don't believe we do.
I think I believe that the play draw in this tournament is actually not decided by dice roll, by standings in the Swiss.
I see.
Seems as though Callum is taking the play here. And he's showing us his starting hand. We see 2 beans. We see Time Warp. I didn't see the rest. Alex, very
What's
helpfully.
this?
Alex
They're
showing
showing us their hands while they turn away.
Oh, right, I see.
Okay.
Alex's hand was a few undying creatures and a grist and a cauldron.
Yeah.
And this is what's kind of catapulted Yawgmoth into. I mean, it's already a very good deck, but also just now a very resilient, very dynamic deck. Attacks on multiple angles. And this deck, the cauldron just makes it such an excellent keep, because if you lose your grist, you can just, if you can resolve a cauldron, not have it be removed, you can turn all of your dorky little creatures effectively into mini planeswalkers, which is obviously very good.
So we're seeing a shortcut here where Lorien Revealed is being fetched at the same. A steam vent is fetched off Lorien Revealed at the same time as a breeding pool fetched off a fetch land. Which is fine. Perfectly legal play. Saves you from shuffling twice.
So we did see 2 Beanstalks in Callum's hands, so he's definitely got the engine. I didn't see that much other action or interaction in his hand. So this might be the case. Can Alex get a board established and possibly get a Yawgmoth out before Callum has a chance to kind of get his beans down and get some 5-mana spells in his hand? It's worth pointing out that Alex didn't have a combo hand as his starting hand. It was more of a kind of a value redundancy hand with Grist and the Soul Cauldron, which might line up poorly against Callum's start, where he's just accumulating value. Alex's start isn't the fastest.
No, though he does have an attack 3 there.
Yeah. It's not the slowest either.
No, I guess I meant fastest in terms of the combo, but he's definitely getting the 3 damps in now. Callum is already on 12 life, which is quite scary.
Yeah, with the lack of fury on Callum's side, Alex could definitely just beat him down.
So what did we see in the bin there? Can't see what was just played. Either way, a second Beanstalk coming out for Callum here.
Yeah. I think it must be a fetch land, maybe.
Oh, I believe he's playing 1 copy of Eagles of the North, the plain cycling creature.
Oh, that would be it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and a grist slammed here. Alex, a quite imposing board state right now. I mean, even if Callum can answer the grist, a 1/1 token, you know, when your opponent's on 9 life and you've already got an existing board, can be relevant.
I wonder, without the strangling. Oh.
Chord of Calling in the bin, which is probably a card that Alex would rather have drawn, but there we have it.
I wonder, without the Geist on 2, if you just play out the Cauldron, or whether that makes it too vulnerable to interaction.
I think while you have nothing in the bin, it's probably better just to go for the beatdown plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're hoping your grist can go to the bin first, so even if they can answer your Cauldron, at least you've got a +1/+1 counter.
With facing down 3 Beanstalks, Alex has to be thinking, how can I close this game out as quickly as I possibly can?
Absolutely. He's currently got 4 power on board. He's making another insect for 5 mana, 5 power. Sorry.
Do you remember as well, we saw a time warp in Callum's opening hand, so next turn, if he so chooses, he will be able to take an extra turn and draw 3, which will presumably give him some action to deal with this board that's being accumulated by Alex here on Yawgmoth.
There's the cauldron.
And we put a walking ballista in the bin, so I believe that Alex played the walking ballista for 0 just to get it straight in the bin, and now he's going to resolve the cauldron.
I think
target.
it's what he milled off Grist.
I think he milled it off Grist, yeah.
Even better.
He's in a very good position right now because a creature that produces mana being in the bin makes this an infinite combo. A Wall of Roots, or a Mana Dork, putting a counter on Strangleroot Geist and exiling Walking Ballista as well as the Mana Dork means that he can kill the Strangleroot Geist using the Walking Ballista ability, produce a mana, do that any number of times, have any number of mana, and then just kill his opponent using the Walking Ballista.
Yeah. So you would activate Wall of Roots, activate Wall of Roots ability on Strangleroot Geist. Strangleroot Geist dies, comes with a +1/+1 counter, gets the pings the opponent for 1 with Walking Ballista's ability, and then
so it works with any Mana Dork, because even if the Mana Dork is just tapping for mana, you can Ballista your own Strangleroot Geist in order to kill it.
Because it has haste.
Make it come back. Yes.
I suppose it's more awkward with the Wall of Roots though, because you would have to stack activated abilities. Because once it loses the +1/+1 counter, it loses the other abilities, right?
So with the Wall of Roots, what you would have to do is float the mana and then ping itself.
And then ping, yes, that makes sense.
But I mean, actually, no, you just float a mana and ping your opponent because it dies, and then comes back because it didn't have a counter. So with the Wall of Roots, it's still basically the same thing. Either way, if you're playing in paper, it's just demonstrating the loop and then the game's over. So end step, we're going to see Walking Ballista get exiled by the Soul Cauldron.
For sure, yeah. Now, where does the counter go? Maybe on an insect?
Probably on the Strangleroot Geist, because it means if you mill a Mana Dork, or get one that you can... Oh, is that 2 counters?
1 counter.
I think that's 1.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that's just 1 counter. The art on the insect was confusing me a little. So if you mill a Mana Dork, or you draw a Mana Dork and then ping it using the ability of Strangleroot Geist, you can then go infinite.
Or at least he could if Strangleroot Geist wasn't tapped at this point. But yeah, I see what you mean.
During his turn.
Yeah, sure.
That is what Alex elects to do. He puts the counter on the Strangleroot Geist. And he's kind of well placed here to beat down. I mean, Callum must be feeling quite worried. He has got 3 Beanstalks out. He's got a full hand. So he's got some time to find some threats here. But, I mean, there are a lot of things on Alex's board. I mean, at this stage in the game, at being at 9 life, every single creature is a threat. Grist is obviously a threat, and so is the Cauldron. So
did Callum play Time Warp in the previous turn? Or did Alex just exile the Walking Ballista on his own turn?
That was still Alex's turn there.
Okay.
So this is
his turn, second main, I believe. This is the turn we could have seen a Time Warp. Instead, we see an Omnath to gain 4 life.
However, we could just see a fetch land here, and then
we can
into the Time Walk. Yeah,
and this will allow Callum to gain some life also. Very valuable here, and that's almost assuredly what we are going to see. We're going to see a resolved Time Warp here. Draw 3 cards.
Callum likely desperate to find some removal for this Soul Cauldron.
Or for some of the board, yes. But
the Soul Cauldron is the most threatening piece on board at the moment, though.
What removal could he find?
Leyline Binding or Pending. Or Prismatic Ending.
Or Bring to Light for either, I suppose. Or you can't bring to light Leyline Binding.
No, he can't. Leyline Binding is 7 mana, I think.
And I bring to light. Prismatic Ending will only exile 0 drops.
Oh yes, of course.
Unless you find a 6th colour in the colour pie. It's been hidden away.
Well, you can't pay mana into the Prismatic Ending at all. Yeah.
I was talking about, sorry, bring to light. Oh yeah,
Oh,
you'd have
yeah.
to have 6 mana, 6 mana, and you'd have to have another colour in Magic.
Oh, and we now have a Blood Artist too.
That's
Oh, is this
really
another
dangerous.
Time Warp on stack?
Yes, I think this is while Time Warp is.
Oh, this
on
is game
stack.
over. This is game over.
This is game over. He's
Yeah.
got a repeatable loop there, right?
Yes,
What
you use Walking Ballista's ability to target Strangleroot Geist by removing a counter, which kills Strangleroot Geist, which comes back with a counter, and then you do that over and over again.
Sure,
Right.
sure. That's quite the combo.
Milling Walking Ballista that one turn was absolutely crucial for Alex in that matchup then.
Correct, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, if not, he probably would have just corded for 0 on the end step.
Yes, that's also a play.
So let's see what Alex's sideboard looks like for this matchup.
One thing I'd like to say, I would like to see Alex take more damage because he's got a fantastic pen flip that he does with his fingers.
So we see in the sideboard a Force of Vigor, which may be brought in. Haywire Might, which is also an option. I don't imagine much else is going to come in.
I think the Haywire Might becomes a lot less attractive, considering I don't think Callum is playing the One Ring. Whether Alex knows that, I'm not sure.
I don't think he knows that, but it still can be useful to exile a Leyline Binding that has a Soul Cauldron underneath it.
Or just exile a Beanstalk.
Yeah, or just exiling a Beanstalk. But I think he'd rather Force of Vigor the Beanstalks if there's 2 in play.
Yeah, of course.
There is a Shieldred in the sideboard, which may come in.
I was about to mention Shieldred. I would have thought that against a big cantripping deck, Shieldred feels quite strong, although it does dilute the main game plan somewhat. So
it does. Comboing is difficult into the 4-color deck. We do see the Haywire Mites coming in. But comboing is difficult because there's so many pieces that have to come together, and
so we might
sometimes you just go for a mid-range beatdown plan.
Yeah.
Do we answer Stefano's question here? Is it only for cycling, or does it do more in the deck? Did we answer that question? I believe he's referring to the Eagles of the North.
Eagles of the North is pretty much only for cycling, as far as I can tell. But on some board states, you might just want to cast it.
Even though it's 6 mana for a 3/4, it can still draw you 2 or 3 cards sometimes.
Yeah, it can, and I mean, if I was paying 6 mana for a 3/3 that drew me 2 cards, I really wouldn't mind.
That's the same for most of the cyclers. Very low cost in playing them. Cost 1 mana to cycle. Crucial in getting you that land that you need, but also just a hard cast Lorien Revealed is.
Yeah, it also gets you out from under Blood Moon. Your opponent slams a Blood Moon, you cycle this to get a basic plains, and then you can Leyline Binding the Blood Moon.
Good point also. So I think it's fair to say that Alex got a little bit lucky in that first game in milling over the Walking Ballista. I think that's really the only card that kind of won him that game.
I think whether or not he milled that Ballista didn't really matter, because he definitely had the Chord of Calling in hand. So all he would have had to do was Chord for 0 on the end step, and Ballista would immediately go to the bin. Then he would untap, and he has to just find some way of getting a Mana Dork into the bin, which with Grist in play means he can sacrifice it immediately. So he would have had the combo regardless. If
Infinite mana, right? Or is that infinite damage as well, the one you're referring to?
it's both. It's both.
Yeah, both. Okay.
Because of the Undying creature can just immediately come back because it removes a counter to kill itself. So with any mana dork, it means infinite damage and infinite mana. But while you have a ballista, you're obviously just going to kill your opponent.
But it's true, although, Callum did have a time off on the stack there, and he had 3.
Yeah, Callum needed to find
on the
some sort of
team.
interaction for the Soul Cauldron in order to win that. But he failed.
Missing Furies feels really bad right now, I think, probably for Callum.
I think that's
Oh, for sure. It was a sort of
essential keep the board clear.
I mean, it was mentioned earlier, but we can see it in practice in that last game. It was just a Fury against that board would have completely turned it around.
Fury into that board state actually wouldn't have been too good. He had 2 Undying creatures, which were the primary combo pieces. So even if your opponent plays a Fury there, you just remove a counter to ping your opponent, your Undying creatures come back, and then you can remove the counters again because you have Ballista exiled.
Yeah, I'm having to have Agatha's Soul Cauldron literally up on my screen right now because I keep having to check what it does.
It does everything.
Yeah, you don't even have to pay mana to tap it. Wow.
Yes.
It's a fantastic card.
For those who don't know what Soul Cauldron does, it's a 2-mana legendary artifact that taps to exile a card from a graveyard. If that card was a creature card, you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control. And all creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them have all activated abilities of all creatures exiled by the Soul Cauldron, which enables a lot of combos.
Which is why you'll see the one-off Walking Ballista and even the one-off Fulminator Mage. Imagine this, you resolve your Fulminator Mage, you have a Cauldron in play, destroy one of their lands, tap the Cauldron, target your Fulminator Mage, and target, say, one of your Grist tokens.
What have we got?
Suddenly you've got an engine there for killing their lands.
We've got Grist, 2 dorks, 3 lands.
Grist, Halfling, Ignoble. Okay, 3 lands. Nice. It's a fine hand.
The other hand did have a Fire Ice in it. It's the card that I saw.
Yes, I didn't see many. I saw 2 lands, a Fire Ice. I'm not sure what else.
So most likely he leads on Ignoble here. On Delighted Halfling.
Oh, for sure, because it's got 2 toughness and it would make Grist uncounterable.
Yeah, and that really is the worst case scenario for Callum since he is playing Force of Negation.
So we may well see this Delighted Halfling getting fired.
Yeah, most likely.
And that does disrupt Alex. I mean, that kind of takes him off Grist for a turn, which is quite important.
Yeah, the turn after he just goes Ignoble and land. And then he has to hope that he draws something effective from the top of his library. Okay, we see a dead gone.
Dead and gone, yeah.
Which means Fire Ice is still available, which will take out the Ignoble Hierarch next turn.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me feel that Callum at this point is slightly favoured. Especially because we haven't seen Alex's draws.
I think I see 2 Solitudes in Callum's hand, so he is in a very good position. So we see Ardently, it's Cascade.
Let's see, potentially Teferi here. Oh, an Ardently. Okay, she's getting the Beanstalk in play. And does he Solitude the Ignoble Hierarch here? We did see a Solitude in hand.
I don't think he would.
No, I don't think he would.
Probably not. He's probably not scared about Yawgmoth right now, with Alex's board being quite undeveloped. And presumably it won't make a difference to the timing of a resolved Grist because Alex can just drop a line next turn.
Well, he doesn't know the Grist is in hand. He could be trying to play around Yawgmoth itself, but
just the main threats from Alex's deck don't really get helped by Ignoble here. It doesn't really, in many lines, give Alex a much better turn.
Oh, lovely. We see a Yawgmoth milled by Grist, which means a Soul Cauldron turns every creature in play into a Yawgmoth.
Absolutely.
Soul Cauldron really did pop this deck from being one of the pretty okay on the edge decks to just being a really good deck, didn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's completely broken the deck, in my opinion. Because now it has a backup combo to the main combo, which was just Yawgmoth.
Callum was deliberating over whether to fire the 2 creatures, but I think he's deciding against it.
Might not be too bad a plan just to keep this board empty.
He's certainly thinking about it.
Yeah,
I can see his hands twitching. Yeah,
Yep.
He does it.
It does prevent a Yawgmoth from coming in and just drawing cards, which is pretty good. Card costs the Force of Vigor to take out the Beanstalk and the Leyline Binding.
Yeah.
That is excellent.
That's hot.
Assuming this resolves, it's fantastic for him.
Mm-hmm. Then gets Grist, which ticks up.
Wow, and he mills 2 insects, so he gets 2 tokens. Sorry, mills an insect, so he gets 2 tokens.
Yeah.
And he's got Haywire Mice in the bin now for future Soul Cauldrons.
I also think looking at Callum's deck, we're expecting most things to resolve.
Callum does have 4 copies of Force of Negation.
He does.
Though he's not... we don't know whether or not he's decided those out or in. Most likely he took them out. They do not counter Grist.
It seems like Alex has got some cheat codes going on right now. He's getting very lucky with his mills today. First a Walking Ballista and now an insect.
I'm really going to ask him for some tips on how to do that.
Hepatra, of course, not having the activated ability, so it doesn't work too well from the graveyard.
No, but he's got plenty of other things.
Yeah, Yawgmoth has backup combos for every situation, pretty much.
Cauldron here would just be so fantastic for Alex. So much fodder in the bin.
We're probably going to see Alex winning this one, I think. If he's able to draw a Cauldron at any point, the game is heavily in his favour.
There's that pen flick.
We've seen up the Beanstalk from Callum. It's a Solitude in hand. Still waiting for a target. We Optic Grist. Milling Walking Ballista.
Wow.
It's got everything.
Perfectly set up. So 1 mana Delighted Halfling. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And a pass.
No attacks, that's interesting.
Perhaps he just forgot. Or he's going to convoke a Court of Calling on the end step.
I think that's more likely.
I feel like Callum's excellent position a couple of turns ago may
That's a Bring to Light.
Maybe reinstated with this Bring to Light.
Let's see what he
what can he
touch
possibly
here.
get that's good for him here?
Board wipe. Maybe boarded in Verdict.
Does he have Verdict in the sideboard?
Yeah.
I imagine he does. Yes,
Okay.
Green Verdict would be good here, just leaving a Grist on the table.
So
He
Time Warp.
elects to go for a Time Warp, draw himself a card as well.
Sure. I think Alex just says, fine. End step, I'm expecting a Chord for Yawgmoth and just restocking the hand.
Do you get the card off Bring to Light and the card off Time Warp?
I believe you do.
Yes, you do.
Because you
Both are
cast the
cast.
spell without paying the cost.
Wow.
Okay. So we're going to see a Omnath. Likely followed up by a fetch land.
Maybe another turn as well.
Interesting, if Alex did have a chord in hand here, he could have tried to chord then. he's going to do it, yes. So is this in response to the Omnath trigger on the stack? That would make sense to me. If he's planning on killing the
I
Omnath, he wants to
believe
do that
it is,
before.
yeah.
Since he wants to do that before Callum has the opportunity to make a land drop there.
Yeah, that's a very good choice. He leaves his opponent on 1
Good for
mana.
Alex here.
And he's just going to sacrifice his entire board to take out the Omnath.
Draw cards while he does it.
Yes. And hopefully he remembers to draw his 4 cards.
Yeah. Well counted.
I think it is worth noting as well that Alex does have a lot of creatures in his graveyard. So if you can ever get that Grist up to enough loyalty, be a fair chunk of damage as well.
Yeah, that is a win condition. I believe the Grist is on 5, so they can definitely ultimate if they want to. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 creatures, maybe 6.
Callum's doing okay. He's hit his land drops. He's got a Beanstalk in play. He's got presumably quite a few cards in hand now. But I think what he needs is potentially another just Beanstalk to keep the ball rolling, to make sure that he can answer all the threats which will inevitably be falling from Alex's hand next turn.
Grist ticking up again. It's a
Yep.
second Yawgmoth.
That's interesting. So he's got 2 Yawgmoths in the bin and then 1
Yeah.
exiled. So
Yes.
he's only got 1 Yawgmoth left in the deck.
That is a Soul Cauldron in hand.
Yep.
Is there a combo here? I think there probably is with Walking Ballista.
Okay, now he can exile Yawgmoth, get an Undying creature. So if he draws another Undying creature, he's in an excellent position, which means he can just draw as many cards as he'd like.
I'm going to see, does Callum have the Leyline Binding here? That's quite
He's a
essential.
Force of Negation.
Force of Negation, which is absolutely pivotal here. I think if that resolved and was left on the battlefield, that would be good night for Callum.
Alex is counting creatures in bin. Obviously thinking about the Grist play, same as us.
Yeah, I expect Alex to just continue ticking up and wait until Callum is in lethal range. Or maybe even firing it off in
That's the most sensible way to play it. After all, every time it ticks up, it makes a creature.
Yes. There may end up being removal for the Bowmasters in response to the Omnath trigger. There may end up being removal for the Grist, which is maybe a reason to fire it off earlier.
And this is
a
a
murderous
cut for the Bowmasters.
Is it for the bow?
It is for the Bowmasters, yes.
Yeah.
Because otherwise he would get pinged for the Omnath draw. And then
it looks like it's got 2 counters on the army.
Right.
It should only have 1 yet.
Yeah.
So he did it in response to was it the Omnath?
Yes, to the Omnath draw.
Right, but then Callum responded with a Murderous Cut, is that right?
Beans draw. Yes. There was a trigger from the beans because of the Murderous Cut.
Exactly.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Murderous Cut being something that hits Bean as well. Wow. Doesn't get cascaded into and hits Bean.
Is your Solitude likely for the Undying creature?
And this is, I think Callum's turned a corner here. I think Alex needs a bit of action. I see that's either 1 or 2 cards in his hand. He really does need another Chord of Calling or Cauldron or Yawgmoth to keep in this game.
Yeah, Callum does look like he's bringing it back here, but it feels like just one good draw from Yawgmoth. Like a Cauldron here would just be too much, right?
Haven.
Yep, it's Pendelhaven in play now.
So we did see Alex elects to sacrifice his Nurturing Peatland, which is not a sign that the cards in his hand are too strong.
So the question is, are we going to see him fire off the Grist to remove Omnath or Solitude here? If he does elect to remove the Omnath, then the Grist will die to Solitude on the crackback. I think, if I can read the dice correctly.
Wall of Roots could block, but so doesn't seem a great play.
He's going to ultimate? Or was it already on 2?
It's already
no,
on
okay,
2.
I think it was on 2. Does Omnath deal damage to Planeswalkers?
Yes, it does.
I see, that's why it was on 2.
I think at this point in the game where the board
Takanuma,
barely
okay,
hit
so he can return a Yawgmoth with this.
Yeah.
Or a Grist. Okay, he goes for the Yawgmoth. Hoping to draw some cards.
Do we know how many cards Callum has in hand, roughly?
Quite a lot, I assume.
Looks like about 3.
3 or 4, maybe?
Yeah, enough to maybe have a variety of answers.
Wall of Roots will die on its next activation. And there's the Fulminator Mage.
I've seen better Fulminator Mages on this board state. Callum certainly has a lot of lands.
Mm-hmm. It might just sit there as a 2/2 for now.
Okay, second Fulminator Mage. Might be able to cut Callum off of some colours here. They do threaten to just continually remove his lands.
See, one of the Fulminator Mages is being subtletied.
I imagine he
that will
wants
go
this
on
on the
top.
bottom.
Bottom, okay.
Bottom, yeah.
So the hand is Yawgmoth, and that's it.
I think Alex needs to kind of... He really wants I think a Grist would be a good draw here. I think the Cauldron would obviously be a good draw. And the Yawgmoth, I guess he's already got one in hand, hasn't he? So that's his last card in hand.
And then we've got an Endurance coming in, so there goes the graveyard.
Ooh. There goes Cauldron as an out. Was an immediate out.
Kind of surprised we didn't see that in response to the Takanuma, but I'm sure there was a reason for that.
A second Beanstalk here. I mean, this makes this kind of board stalls tilt in Callum's favour, and a third Beanstalk being played here.
There's a man who's cascaded before.
Did we not see? Okay, We saw one taken out by a Force of Vigor earlier.
It's interesting. It just does leave Callum with just one card and a Sulfur and Endurance. You know, they are threats. Alex is on 8 here, so there is a clock here. But, you know, Alex has still got a window.
So Casper won the other matchup against Manuel. That's Control beating Domain Zoo.
So it looks like the winner of this will play against no Beanstalk.
Correct.
Signature pen flick.
Taking out the Xander's Lounge, was that? No, that was someone help me here. What land was that?
Some kind of triumph. Is that Sparrows?
I think it's Sparrows, yeah.
Sparrows, okay.
Dire thoughts. Henry in the chat commenting on Alex's penmanship, his fancy pen twiddling skills. That, and he's got some fancy shuffling as well. He's very good at these little magic ticks.
Okay. My opponent is moving their pen in an aggressive way. Hopefully Alex does not get disqualified for unsportsmanlike conduct.
Unsportsmanlike penmanship.
I was telling the group a few days ago, Luke, that I played some Arena with our Will Cleary, and he flicks his cards on Magic Arena, which I thought was...
he flicks his cards on Magic Arena?
He does, yeah, using his mouse, which I thought was incredibly psychopathic behaviour.
I'll be having a word with him.
Please do.
It looks like it's 1-1.
It is 1-1, and this time Alex will be on the play.
Will has responded with a message to you that I will not be saying on stream.
Shout out to Will. Great guy. Although he just shot his cards at Arena.
Both players are reconsidering their sideboards here.
Let's have a dive into the deck list, see what they might be picking.
I can't imagine any of the removal in Alex's deck is going to come in. Then again, having seen Subtlety and Endurance might change his mind.
Do you reckon he'll keep the 2 Fulminator mages after the atrocious top deck? Or are they still pretty good if you draw them on curve?
If you draw them on curve, or you're able to mill them with a Grist while you have a Soul Cauldron in play, they can be amazing. They will just win you the game. But I feel like you have enough redundancy with the Walking Ballista combo and the Yawgmoth combo, so maybe it is better just to take those out.
I think you keep them in. I think they're going to be quite good in this matchup. If you can take your opponent off their land drop, take out a Triome, that can be very useful. You can never get a Cauldron in play, recurring that Fulminator Mage is really, really a fantastic way of attacking the 4-colour deck. Henry in the chat asks, what was Pip playing? Healed combo ? So he was playing the Samwise food deck. Personally, very glad that we don't have to commentate that. Very cool deck. However, I'm not.
We just have no idea how it works.
Yeah, none of us in this call are equipped to explain the interactions going on in this deck.
At least not in real time.
Although Pip has gone
0-2.
0-2, so I assume he may have dropped potentially. Not quite sure.
Looks like the Cauldron to be familiar with is Agatha's.
0-2 is would eliminate him from the tournament anyway.
Right, yes. All right, so let's get I expect a very brief glance at Callum's hand, as is tradition.
We've got some
Beanstalk.
lands, some spells.
Was that a supreme verdict?
I think
Halfling
Leyline
Chord of
Binding.
Calling. Okay, this is a really nice hand for Alex, I think.
Yeah, the double Bowmasters looks good.
Yeah, this is a fantastic hand.
Starting with ramp into Bowmasters and then a massive Chord of Calling is great.
What's great for Alex here is that his Delighted Halfling is pretty much guaranteed to live for at least a turn, because Callum will be wanting to get a Triome and a Leyline Binding is obviously not effective removal.
Yeah,
Turn
he
one,
may
so
end up casting a Solitude here, but that's a 2-for-1.
I think that would
Yeah,
be,
it seems unlikely you would waste it on a halfling, but it's possible. We'll see what he does.
I think it's unlikely, especially considering he's got the Bean in hand. I think he'd be wanting to play that first before he starts playing his Solitudes.
Do you play the Bean on 2, knowing this opponent is clearly signalling that they've got Bowmaster in hand? I think
I think you play it
have
out
to.
anyway.
you
I
have
think
to
you
play
have
the
to do
Bean
it.
into a Bowmaster.
Yeah,
I think you do, because there's not much else to do in this turn, and the Bowmaster is going to be a problem anyway. It just stays on the battlefield, so
yeah.
it's
In
certainly quite
fact,
nice for Alex.
So in fact, that's the Eagles of the North again, fetching a Sacred Foundry after the fetched a breeding pool, so no Triome at the moment.
Yeah, maybe playing around Fulminator Mage.
Could be.
And this is going to be really hard for Callum. So if he drops the Beanstalk and Alex responds with a Bowmaster with another Bowmaster in hand for the next turn,
It's
is
snapping
going
that
to
one
be
off.
extremely difficult for Callum to beat. Look at that. The speed of that Orcish Bowmaster's right there.
So he's going to draw a card and he's going to draw a card because he cast the Solitude. So there will be 2 Bowmaster triggers.
Yep, so this is going to be Callum going down to 12.
Might see a Fulminator Mage being cast here. Yes.
Fulminator Mage.
Perhaps taking out the white mana?
Probably,
Yep.
Yeah, that's the decision. Yeah.
Why the white mana specifically?
It prevents a Leyline Binding or a hardcast Solitude.
Right, and Alex wants to just get the pressure here.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
He wants to play his Bowmasters now. Or he's playing a Grist.
Yes, he's
Also a good
slamming
play.
the Grist.
This now seems insurmountable for Callum.
Yeah, given he's not playing Fury, this is a very difficult situation. I believe that's a
Keep in mind
Xander's
this-
Lounge in play, which means he has no access to white mana.
I think we also saw a Chord of Calling, if I'm not mistaken, in Alex's starting hand. So he could always just untap and get another Fulminator Mage if he's playing more than one.
So we're going to see a Murderous Cut targeting the Halfling. Okay. Going to see an attack and probably Grist taking out, followed by a Orcish Bowmasters. Blood Artist was milled.
Seems like he elects not to play the Bowmasters to pump up his token.
No, he's likely going to do it in response to a draw trigger.
Yeah. Oh, fire.
Yep, he's going to be
Bowmasters.
regressing that now. Yep, okay.
Yeah.
It's a concession
Actually,
from Callum.
Yeah.
There we are. So Alex takes it with a very fast, assertive starting hand there from Yawgmoth. So congratulations, Alex. We'll see if we can get him in the call to extend our congratulations and see if we can interview him on his tournament experience so far.
Yep. So after this, we have Casper versus Alex. That'll be another control matchup against Yawgmoth.